If you could change any choices you have ever made, would you? You can always make another choice and change the course of your success. Everyone has the potency to make inspired choices. Get ready to listen, share, and experience the creativity that is you. Now, here is the host of Inspired Choices radio show, Christine McIver.
That's me. Welcome, everyone. I'm really excited about tonight's show, and you just missed a dance party. I'm just saying, you should be here at the beginning of the shows because we already have a dance party going on, because that's just how we roll at the Inspired Choices Network. So yes, I am your host, Christine McIver, and this is the Inspired Choices show, which has been the name of my show for 11 years now. And tonight we are talking about how to know your value in business. This is a hot topic. And if you've been kind of thinking about it, or you've been seeing that I've been promoting it, it's not going to be just about what you think it's going to be about. So before we jump into that, I want to tell you a little bit about who I am and what makes me an authority in this area. So I am a business development leader. I am someone who has been in my own business since 2008. I've had several businesses. I love to create. I love to really step out in the world and look at what is going on, and where there is, really places where business owners and their teams are missing opportunities, missing strategic placements so that they can really grow their business in a way that is pleasurable, in a way that is fun, and in a way that brings them so much excitement about getting out of bed every single day. So I am the owner and founder of the Inspired Choices Network. This is one of my creations, and where I get to play every single day with hosts from all over the world, where they are creating amazing content and being, content leaders in the world. So if that's something that you would like to know more about, how you can really grow your business with pleasure, or you would like to learn about how you can actually have your voice, everywhere, do reach out to me. You can email me, Christine at inspiredchoices.ca. You can find me all across social media, just Christine McIver. Just go look for me. You will find me. And if you are listening to us in the replay, wherever you're listening from, I would love for you to put #replay. I love to know where people are listening and when they're listening. And if you would like to join us in the recording studio and ask questions, come on over to inspiredchoicesnetwork.com/chat room. And the producers will guide you into the recording studio, and you can be participating throughout the show in our live chat room at the network. So I love this topic tonight, because it is something that has been jumping up for so many people, especially with the many shifts that have been occurring in people's businesses over the last 2 years. There's really had to be a pivot. And at the same time, I know astrology wise that there has been a lot of challenges for people, a lot of growing for people. And this is a topic about your value, about your worth, that is so paramount, especially as there's challenges in the world and challenges in your life and in your business. And this is a subject I love to talk about and I love to teach on. So I'm happy that you are here. So let's get into the show. So struggling with your value, especially in business, is one of the greatest challenges for entrepreneurs. It really is. Knowing what to price your services and products is key, but should it be for competitive reasons or true value? We want to stop chasing the dollar and worrying about our value. We want to know our value and allow the money to come to us. So we are going to be laying out the steps on how to know your value in business and create ease plus financial flow. So if that sounds like something that you would love to know, Let me see wherever you are. If you're watching in Facebook, say hashtag hell yes. If you're in the chat room, hashtag hell yes. And let's change this. Let's change what it is that's going on with us personally and with what value we are associating with ourselves. So, you know me, the very first thing that I like to do is I like to look at the original definition of a word. The original definition of a word still has the exact same energy there, even if today we believe it means something entirely different. So that's why it's important we look at the original definitions of the words, because those energies are still there and we're still associating with the original definitions. So the word value, it's so cool. So the word value is estimate the value of. This was from the mid 1500s. And also think highly of. That is in the verb context. In the noun, it's price equal to the intrinsic worth of a thing. The intrinsic worth of a thing, and a degree to which something is useful or estimatable. Right? Oh my gosh, this is so interesting to me. When I was thinking about and starting to really tap into the energy of the show, these are some of the things that started to come to mind. First of all, I want you to understand that the value of you, or the value of your product or your service, is all about perspective. It's all about perspective. The value is about perspective. Now, what something is worth is an entirely different thing, and I want to dive into that. So first of all, the value. Let me tell you a little story that popped into my head. So I want you to imagine that you are on an island, and you are on this island, and the only transportation that's available is a car, and you need to get across this island. You're exhausted, it's an emergency, and you have to get into a car, but you never learned how to drive the car. And in fact, you're petrified to learn how to drive a car, and you wouldn't even take a risk of jumping in the driver's seat and driving the car. So you're in this position. So your need is very, very high. Your choices are very, very low, and your ability is very, very low. So someone who has both a car and has the ability to drive you there safely and is available at that time, their value, the value of that ability, is incredibly high, right? So it's all about perspective. You can be someone that is on that island and someone that is enjoying walking. You don't need a vehicle. You don't have any problems. Everything's just fine. To you, the value of a car and somebody driving you, it's quite low. It's not really necessary for you. So again, that is about perspective, right? So you've got to understand this piece. This is a very, very important piece to understand. What most people are doing is they are looking outside of themselves. They're looking what everybody else is doing in their industry, in their line of work, and they are looking at what that person is doing and what that person is charging, and they are evaluating their products based on someone else. So first of all, there is no two products or no two services or no two service providers that are exactly the same. So you are not comparing apples to apples, first and foremost. Secondly, the people that are providing the products and services, they may have been in business longer than you. And you may look at them because maybe they were someone that you followed or someone that inspired you to move into the same type of industry. And you may judge yourself as being your product or service being less valuable than what they are charging. Okay. This has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with what's going on inside of you. Again, your perspective. Okay. So when you are evaluating something and you're looking outside of you, you are basing the percentage, the highest percentage of what you're going to price something based on someone else's behavior. Now, who says that that person is correct? Who says that that person's value, what they have priced something, is correct? Again, that was their perspective. They would have gone through the exact same process, right? And what is not valuable in one country or one city could be incredibly valuable in another country or another city, right? You've got to think there's many variables that need to come into consideration when you are looking at pricing. But the greatest piece is your worth. And that's what I really want to dive into big time. And we're going to come back to the value and your pricing for sure. But the bigger chunk of tonight's show is about your worth, what you see as your worth, what you are worth, and therefore what you are willing to actually value your products and your services, what you are doing. You can take everything that I'm talking about tonight, and you can apply this to anything in your life. You can apply this to relationships. You can apply this to parenting. You can apply this to teaching. You can apply everything that I'm talking about to any area of your life, not just to be an entrepreneur. But as you know, I love to teach about business. And so that's the perspective that I'm going to be speaking to tonight. But please do feel free to think about it in other areas of your life. So to look at the word worth is so important. Now, just before we go back, jump into the definition of the word worth, remember the definition of the word value is estimate the value, right? There's no certainty in that word value. Absolutely no certainty. And then it goes on to say, think highly of. Do you know people that think very highly of themselves? And they actually, from their perspective and their personal experiences, and also the programming that they have in their mind and their belief systems, they think very highly of themselves. They value themselves in a very high way. Again, this has absolutely nothing to do with money, right? We haven't even talked about the money yet. We're talking about the words and what the words really mean. So that's very important to keep those things in mind. Now, the word worth is significant, valuable, of value, appreciated, highly thought of, deserving, honorable, noble, of high rank, suitable for, proper, fit, and capable. Like, oh my gosh. Even the word worth gives us the energy of a much more robust and important aspect than the word value. And that is so key, because that's what this really, the value that you put on your business, your products, your services, what you are doing in the world, the value that you put on with it actually stems from your worth and what you are worth and what is worthy within you. And that's where the gaps start to really take place. And this is where so many of us get confused about our pricing. And I've been there. I completely understand it. And it is quite normal. But it doesn't have to be that way. We can actually step into and raise the way that we perceive ourselves and the way that we see our worth to ourselves first, and then to the world around us. So if you are listening on Facebook and you would like to continue this conversation, please come over to inspiredchoicesnetwork.com/chat room. Join us in the chat room. You can be asking questions and making comments and really sharing what's going on for you. And you can also join us in the recording studio. So we are going to be closing out the Facebook Live, and we are going to be continuing over here. So do stick around. You are listening to Inspired Choices with myself, Christine McIver, here on the Inspired Choices Network. And we'll be right back after this commercial break. Commercial break.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on our past experiences or what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join Inspired Choices Radio Show with Coach Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know but may not choose that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back and brings all her expertise during each and every show. Are you ready to create the life and the living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@InspiredChoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, my friends. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you're just joining in, we are talking tonight about how to know your value in business. We started out talking about the differences between the word value and the word worth, and how so much of what we are doing in business and the pricing that we're putting on our business products and services has more to do with us and where we're coming from than it has to do with anything else. So one of the really important questions that you want to ask when you find yourself struggling with your pricing is to step back, take a step back and ask yourself, what would I pay for my services? And the answer does not matter so much as in what insight it gives you in how you feel about your own products or services. And that can be a tough question because we can start to have this tug of war within us. We need money. We want to make more money. We have to, we need to put our prices up so we can pay our bills because of the price of things have gone up and so on and so forth. And logically, our brain says, yeah, you should charge more, you should charge more. And yet your internal self is struggling at the willingness to price it at the place where your bank account is screaming you need to, right? That has everything to do with how you see your worth in the world and where you struggle with money, where your points of views are about money, where your belief systems about money really start to come up. We all have issues with money, bar none. We all have issues with money. We have all at some time struggled with figuring out how much we should be paid. When we're going out for a job interview, right? We usually will, I'll take whatever they'll give me. I just need a job. No, You don't even if you will do that, you need to have this conversation with yourself. You need to get very clear about who you are and what it is that you bring to the table in the world. And it doesn't necessarily mean being of service to other people, right? Your worth in the world is incredibly high. In fact, I would say that if people really sat down and really evaluated their worth in the world, that they probably would not ever charge as much as what they come to understand they should be charging. I hope that makes sense. So the very first question is really, what's my opinion? What's my point of view about money and what I am actually willing to pay for my own products and services? And so here's where I've seen, especially with clients, where we start to get really, coming to head with our own selves. And this is where we are looking at something and we're saying, well, yeah, like I want to charge like $150 an hour, but I wouldn't pay $150 for this. I wouldn't pay $150 for this. Now, it's not to say that you don't believe that what you're doing is good. Yes, Karen just joined the chat room. She said, what a question to arrive with. What am I willing to pay for my services? It's a good question. And it's a question we should be asking ourselves repeatedly over the course of our business life. But what you want to do is you want to start looking at the fact that you may not pay the price of what you would desire to get paid for. And that may have more to do with the fact that you do not see what is unique about you and what you bring and what you can deliver, what problems you can solve for other people that are willing to pay for it, right? And again, this is not about anybody else right now. This is about you. So if you started out like all of us, we had part-time jobs when we were maybe in grade school or in high school. I remember I was making minimum wage. My very first job was working at Tim Hortons, and I worked long hours, and I was being paid minimum wage. And, I believed at the time that, well, I'm a teenager, so that's my worth, right? And I actually did not have the foresight to step back and look at everything that I brought to the table and how important it was in that world. I didn't do that. I went on to other jobs, and again, I didn't do that. I remember working at, we used to have a Mother's Pizza, and I worked the day shift. And one time they asked me to work the night shift, and it was good pizza. And so they asked me to work the night shift, and I didn't get home until 5:00 in the morning. And I didn't demand more money, but what I did do, because I didn't feel like I was worth that much more money than everybody else was being paid. But what I did demand is that they never, ever put me on the night shift again. I was not going to stand for that. I knew that my sleep and my weekend to have regular functioning was more important to me than the money. So I was willing to step up and say something. But I went on to other jobs, and the money would maybe creep up a little bit and creep up a little bit and creep up a little bit. So it would slowly get there. Well, I graduated high school. I went on to college. I, became certified in human resources. And as I continued to add to my education and I added to my experience, my perceived worth went up higher and higher and higher. And there was always this thing in the back of my mind, and I wonder how many of you feel like this. There was always this thing in the back of my mind, like, what if they find out that I would do it for less? Or what if they find out that I'm actually not worth that kind of money? What if they find out? What if they find out the truth? It was a very low whisper, but it was present, because there was still so much doubt in my world about my worth. So here's something, let's fast forward to where I am today. And this is something that I do with clients and I absolutely do with myself, is I start to invite people and myself to look at my accomplishments, All right. Most people will not pay themselves the same price that they would like somebody else to pay them for their product or service, because to them, it's too simple. It's too easy to do what we do. Well, of course it's simple. And of course it's easy for you to do what you do, because that's your gift. That's your ability. That's your unique ability in the world, to be able to do the work that you do, and the energy that you bring with that, and the way that you care for the people, the customers, the clients, the people that you work with. All of those things bring your worth higher and higher. But for you, it's easy. It's easy. It's easy because you love it. It's easy because you're attracted to this work. It's easy because you've been doing it so long and it's just programmed in your mind. And so your mind has got it that it's faster and faster and easier and faster and faster and easier. And you can access information so quickly, which makes it easy for you. Just because it's easy, honey, doesn't mean it's not something of worth. Please know that. Please begin to unpack this. This is critical information. This is going to change lack thinking in the world. This is going to change joy in the world. This is going to feed starving people in the world when you get the value and the worth of you and your products and your services. Karen in this chat room says, yep, we do not value what is easy to do, I think, and say everyone can do what I do. A common energy worker's mistake. Everyone can work with energy. Oh, I don't do this very often, but I'm going to pull out my bullshit button.
Bullshit detected. Take precaution.
That is bullshit. That is complete bullshit. Not everybody can do what you do with the energy of who you are, with the awareness, with the knowledge, with the presence, with the detail, with how careful you take care of someone else and take care in delivering a top quality product or service. You have got to start to see this, my friends. You will never get to learning how to price with confidence until you do this inner work. You will never, ever get to a place of confidence. I can tell you that probably more than a half of my time in business, I did not feel confident about my pricing. If somebody challenged me about it, I would give them a discount. It's insane. But this is what happens for many of us, because we do not see our value. And that's because of what's going on inside of us. When you are willing to stop and look at everything that you have put into this amazing dish, the dish called you and your brilliance, when you are willing to look at it all and truly evaluate every single bit of it and look at everything that you have accomplished along the way, even if you've only been in business for a year, there is so much that you have done. And there is so much that needs for you to take accountability in acknowledging. Your job is to take accountability for what you have actually accomplished in your life so you can change that lack programming in your mind. This is your job. So we're going to go to our next break, but I want you to begin, take out your phone, pull out your notes section, grab a piece of paper and pen, whatever it is. I want you to start writing down. I want you to start writing down the education that you have had And I don't mean just, your secondary and your college or university. I don't mean just that. I also mean the education, add in all of those courses that you have taken, all of those conferences you have gone to, all of those online programs you have done. I want you to list them and keep listing them and keep listing and keep listing. Take at least 2 or 3 days to list and list and list, and put the time that you invested as well as the amount of money it cost you, whether it cost you in the price of the program, the price of books, maybe traveling to and from. Put down all of that pricing, put down the pricing that you had to pay for babysitters, put it all down, because all of that adds up and starts to show you the investment that you have made in your knowledge. Yes, investment. Let's talk real words for business. You have invested time and you have invested money. And both of those must begin to be taken into consideration so you can start to see your worth. All right, stick around. We've got lots more to share with you. You are listening to Inspired Choices on the Inspired Choices Network. When we get back, we're going to dive in even deeper with more steps to really change this struggle with pricing. See you on the other side.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on our past experiences or what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join Inspired Choices radio show with Coach Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know but may not choose that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back and brings all her expertise during each and every show. Are you ready to create the life and the living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@InspiredChoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Okay, my friends, welcome back. So the very first thing that I wanted you to start doing is to start listing out everything you have done to invest in your knowledge and your abilities. All right, so that's extremely important. You may even think about adding on that list. I've read several books. I've read, 50 books, 100 books to hone my craft, to learn how to do this. I've spent time with mentors. I was a protege with a mentor. List all of these things. I want you to see how much you have invested in you. This is important. The other piece that I really want you to understand is that when you're looking at this list and you see all of the investment and all of the time, and you start to see, wow, I have really been building to this ability that I say is easy. I've been building to this for the last 10 years, for the last 20 years, for the last 40 years. I have been building and honing my craft for this many years. I'm telling you what's going to happen, which is very, very cool, is your understanding of yourself is going to start to go, oh my God, right? Because what we do, and this bears repeating many, many times, what we do that is joyful and easy and fun for us, we believe is not valuable. We believe it's not valuable. And the only way that we're willing to price anything is when we're looking outside of ourselves at what everybody else is doing. And if someone has been doing it longer than us, so many times people will slip into, well, I can't charge more than they're charging because I haven't been doing it as long as them. That's bullshit. What if you have more knowledge? What if you care for a client, care for these products, put something extra in what you are doing that makes it more valuable, right? Now, most people in the business world will say, look, it's all about supply and demand. It's all about supply and demand. What are people willing to pay for? What, how much in demand is it? That when the demand drops, the price drops, right? They will say that. And I'm never going to say to you that not to take all of these pieces into consideration in your pricing. Absolutely. But I'm telling you that you're never going to get a true understanding of your worth until you do this internal work. You must do this internal work. And you've got to be willing to challenge yourself and your belief systems about your worth. So if you want to keep underpricing your products or being the low man on the totem pole with your prices or your products, if you want to be having to chase the money all the time, chase, then don't do this work. But if you are honestly struggling and you want to show up in your life with more joy and really be willing to say, hey, I am worth this, you've got to do this inner work. You've got to look inside of yourself and see what belief systems have been programmed into your mind about value and about worth. What is your belief system about money? Right? This is not a show about money. There's so much we can talk about money, but your belief systems about money is going to really show you where there are some work, where there is some work for you to do. And when you are looking at yourself and you begin to look at your past, probably your childhood somewhere, we've all had wounds, we've all had challenges, we've all had places where we struggled. And if you have had something occur, some event in your life occur where you were basically told directly or indirectly that you're not valuable, that you will have tucked that away in your programming, and that will be driving the majority of all of these struggles around money. I can tell you, just a few days ago, I was working with my coach because I have a coach, because I want to be challenged and I want to grow. And I forget exactly what she said to me, but it triggered an old childhood incident. And actually, I'll tell you what she said. She said to me, Christine, you are very wise. And when I'm being coached, I'm very, very present, and I allow myself to become very vulnerable. And when she said that, my body burst into tears. I burst into tears. I started to cry. And she's fantastic. She just sits with me and is present with me and said, what is this? Like, where did that come from? And immediately, because it's different than being wise for me, that word wise, it has this, I think of the elderly people who have been through a great deal in their life, and they've seen a great deal, and they have accumulated so much knowledge and so much education, and they have done a lot of their inner work. And so that word for me is, it's more than smart. It's so deep. And when she said that, I guess there's a part of me that didn't believe that I was wise or that I would ever be wise. And it triggered a memory, a childhood memory, where a teacher, through his actions, told me that I was stupid. And because I was raised at the time when you didn't talk back to your teachers, your elders, you respected them. You didn't challenge anything that they put in front of you. And I didn't discuss it with anyone. I was ashamed. I was really, really ashamed at what I perceived was the truth, because he was more intelligent, he was older, he was my superior. And so I believed that he was right. And I must have been stupid. I'm not saying this for sympathy. I'm telling you genuinely, I thought, well, he must be right. He must be right. Like he's the smart one, and I must be stupid. And I have carried that with me up until about a week ago. It's completely gone. But I have carried that with me my entire life. And if you ever even jokingly said something to me like, oh, don't be so stupid, it would re-trigger. Now, how many of you have an incident like this in your life that triggers you, that really brings you back to feeling like you have no power, that you are at the effect of someone else? How many of you know that there are things that were programmed in you and are still there that you have not yet cleared? This is the work that we need to be doing together. We need to be changing this. And of course, I can do this with my clients incredibly easy, and not always easy to do it with yourself. So I'm very, very grateful for my coach. So in really looking at what is triggering you, and really looking at that programming around your belief systems around money, your belief systems around your worth, your belief systems around how important you are in the world, this is critical. And one of the best places to do this is to sit down and make out that list that I said right there. Then the next list that I want you to start listing out, and I want you to do this for at least a week, is I want you to start listing out, I want you to look back at least 5 years, and I want you to start listing out the things that you have accomplished. This is separate from the education piece. This is separate from, any of the knowledge or the books that you've read. I want you to start listing out your accomplishments. I can tell you, my friends, from that little girl who did not believe that she was smart, I never believed I would go on to to high school, let alone college. Like it was just a beyond for me. There was no way that was going to happen. I was born and raised in a small village in southwestern Ontario. I was, the youngest daughter of a very large family. There was a lot of activity, but yet it was so small that sometimes I would get lost in it. I would get lost, and to feel like, what am I going to do in the world? I didn't have huge, big dreams. I didn't have this, I want to get out into the world, and I want to be a voice, and I want to be a leader, and I want to be someone who invites other people to bring their voice to the world. I didn't have that dream. I had the dream of making it to high school. And for me to be where I am today, and all that I've accomplished, it can really, when I'm willing to sit and look at, oh my God, look at what I have created. Look at what I'm continuing to build and grow. And the people that have been part of this network, the guests who have come on and shared their stories, the people that have listened, and all the people, the ripple effect, because I said yes to stepping up into my brilliance. When I sit with that and I look at that, sometimes it can be very overwhelming. But it's important that I do that, because in doing that again and again and again, and understanding, I have really created a network, and I have created, using these 10 fingers, and my care for the world and my care for people bringing their brilliance to the world, I have created something that will live on. I've created a legacy that's going to live on beyond me. And I have created this in a way that it's contributing to other people, their businesses, and they're hiring people, and they're feeding their families, and they are bringing their voice to the world, and they're changing the world with other people. I did this. I am wise. I am wise. And I'm grateful that I know that in every orifice of my body today. And I know now I can start to look at my value. Now I can start to look at my pricing. Now I can begin to stand up with strength. I can stand up with my shoulders back, knowing that beyond any story that I ever bought into, that I am someone who is wise, and I am someone who cares. As much as I am wise, I'm someone who cares just that much, and I will do what it takes to change the world. And I have my entire life. But seeing that is the challenge, my friends. That's where we've got to come to. And when we come to that, then we can start to look at, how do I do my pricing? We need to be doing it from that space of knowing that we are wise, and our contribution in the world is unique, just like your fingerprint. What you bring to the world with your products and your services, no one ever has, and no one ever will. Please do this work. And if you need support in doing this work, reach out to me. Christine at inspiredchoices.ca. This is a critical piece in changing the world, the lack, feeding other people, and being kind to grow the world. It starts with your worth of you. All right, we're going to take our last break of the show. When we get back, we're going to talk about the pricing finally. Stick around, my friends. You're listening to Inspired Choices with Christine McIver. That's me on the Inspired Choices Network. We'll be right back.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on our past experiences or what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join Inspired Choices Radio Show with Coach Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know but may not choose that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back and brings all her expertise during each and every show. Are you ready to create the life and the living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine at InspiredChoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, my friends. If you are just joining, you got to go and listen to the whole show because it really built up and built up and built up. But tonight we were talking about how to know your value in business. And really a biggest part of this is how to know your value, period. And then bring it to your business. It's got to start with you. If it doesn't start with you, you're going to fail in business because you're not going to be charging enough. I can damn near guarantee that. And I know many, many people that were in that space and they were never charging enough, and they couldn't stay in business. They couldn't see their worth, and they couldn't get past understanding what they were doing. There's so many great shows on here about business on the network. But Ranchelle Van Bryce, her show is called Ignite Your Success. And she was talking about how when we're certain energies, we can be pushing and we can be coming from a space that feels like crap. And a lot of people get into that space with pricing because they're coming from a push energy, a desperate energy, a lack energy. When you know your personal worth and you've done your work to bring you to the space of really acknowledging you, you can step up with your pricing in a very, very different way. So the very first thing, please do acknowledgement of everything that you have accomplished in the last 5 years. Also, the education, the investment piece, so important. I want you to get these two things very straight in your mind. Then once you've done that and you really do see that you have invested more than likely at least $100,000 with your time and with the financial investment, when you look at that, if someone was to take $100,000 and invest and all of the time and invest to learn what you learn, right? They would also see this as extremely valuable. You're not going to charge $100,000 for your products or your services likely, but you want to have that understanding. And then when you come to the table, you begin to look at what truly would be a great price for what I bring to the table. So now you're in a higher energy of value and worth about you. And you start to see what it is that you bring to the table, both energetically, knowledge-wise, and what you're creating, task, the product or the service, okay? This is where you will start to increase. I will challenge you that when you get a price, the very first thing that I want you to do is I want you to write that price down. Let's say it's $150 an hour. That's what you're going to, you feel comfortable. Don't be comfortable. If you're being comfortable, you're probably in lack. All right. You need to be uncomfortable with your pricing because 90% of us do not see our worth. Get uncomfortable, stretch yourself. All right. Stretch yourself. And then what I want you to do is when you see that price, so maybe now you're willing to put it at $200, right? You know what's going to happen when you up your price to $200 from $150? You're going to show up even more brilliant. So you're going to be playing this game of upping your own worth and your own value when you challenge yourself. So please keep challenging yourself. Bring all you've got to the table. And then what I want you to do is when you come to that $200 price, I want you to increase whatever the price is. I want you to increase it by 25%. And I want you to leave Post-it notes all around. I want you to start seeing that price and start seeing it and embodying it. Start to embody that price with you. Do this for at least 3 weeks. Really get to that space and then be willing to sit down and look at this price and say, truly, is this a price that I really can step up to in what I deliver, right? Because we want to change that programming. At that point, and only at that point, when you find the space that challenges you and you're willing to speak to that value, at that point, look at others in your area, what their prices are, not to turn you down, right? Get a knowledge of what other people are charging and what they're doing. Because I'll bet you that if you saw what they charge and what they're giving, you will have a list of far more than you actually bring to the table. And so most of us don't deep dive into what somebody is actually getting for their price. And when you do that with other people in your industry, you will start to see your value even more. And this is so essential, so essential. My friends, there is so much more we can talk about regarding pricing, but I hope that you've gotten my message tonight, that your worth is so much greater than you actually know. And it's not connected at all to what you charge or what other people are willing to pay. Because when you step up with your pricing and you really change the value in your mind, you will step up even more. And this is where you start to grow yourself and your business. And this is where you start to change what's going on in your world and in the rest of the world. I want you to come back next week. Next week, this show is Bitch, Pat Your Own Damn Back. Yep, that's what I said. That's the show next week. Until next time, my friends, I want you to remember you can always make another choice. Be good to you and do your work. Come on now, you're worth it.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Inspired Choices Radio Show. Christine McIver will return next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, be willing to choose what you really desire. This is your life, making the choices that bring you all that you desire.